I really, really hope that this video goes well because takes quite a bit of patience, don't it? When you shoot an 11-minute video and you go to listen to it and you realize, yeah, I turned on my board. I thought I didn't, so I went to flip the switch, thinking I was turning it on because I thought that I didn't. I did, and I was turning it off, and I had no board. I had no 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 audio. So, all right. Today it's downright evening now, going on 9 o'clock. By golly, time flies when you're having fun. For about the last day and a half, I have been working on this Whitehall root beer swirl snare drum, and I've never cut a bearing edge in my life. All right, I've messed around a little bit with my router table, with some hoops and some you know discardable shells. Okay, shells that I've got laying around for that very purpose of just practicing and testing and stuff like that. Well, I picked one heck of a snare to start. Um, this is a root beer swirl snare. It's root beer, anything root beer swirl is. It's not rare or maybe even not all that scarce, but it's as far as the market goes, pretty scarce. They don't pop up every day. Um, as far as how many are out there, I think there's plenty out there, but you just don't ever see them on the market. Boy, that would be cool to have numbers from Pearl and Star, wouldn't it? Of production numbers and colors. Wouldn't it be awesome to have those numbers? Too bad a lot of those folks are gone now. But, wow, that would be super awesome. Anyways, sorry about that little tangent. Uh, so, I actually started this, I think it was about 3 days ago. I knew I had a bad edge on top, and because I checked it once, and I also knew that my shell was out of round. Out of round by a couple millimeters when you know, you measure the length of the opposing lugs, and you get, well, actually about 2.5 here, and you get 1 here. You know, well, that is, I'm sorry, deviation from 14. All right, a bit under there. So you're about 1.5 millimeters. Now maybe that's not extreme, but that's enough. My understanding. You want it dead on. So what I did is I recorded this really, really long, annoying intro to a video, and I pissed off a bunch of people, and they just done clicked away. It was beautiful. Sorry. I kid, okay, all right. So, anyways, so I cut the top bearing edge. Never having done it before, I noticed that. And by the way, let me give a little description. We're talking about a thick shell. This is Luan, and it's made by Pearl. We're talking probably the 70s, most definitely. Um, and gray painted interior. The edges were quite sharp towards the outside. So, I this whole time my goal for this snare drum is to make it sound as good as this other drum that I have, which is a Hoshino made um, thin shell with re-rings. So we're talking about a completely different shell type, right? And by the way, the Hoshino has die-cast tubes. This one had triple flange when I started. And I may even put them back on it just to see if it really makes that much difference. We'll see. I know it will, but is it absolutely necessary to have these triple flange on here in order to get the performance I want out of it? We'll see. Anyways, so I cut the top edge, slapped it all together, still with the triple flange, by the way. Wasn't happy with what I got. I have shot several videos. I've got them. I could post or show, but um, decided that aside from the um, trick play up the sleeve there uh, of die-cast tubes, I decided I'm gonna have to cut the bottom edge as well, because I was just thinking, this this Hoshino, what it's really good at doing is that it's real tight, crispy. All right, even though it doesn't even have to be tuned that high. Um, and then when you hit it, it sounds pretty fat. It's maybe that I'm describing more of how it feels, but boy, that's just a great snare. Of course, it's going to be a little fatter and you know, feeling and if not and or sounding because of the thin shell. You know how they feel different, they sound different. Anyways, so I'm trying to get this crisp snare sound. Well, of course, that has a lot to do with how the heads interact, the bottom head, like even how it's tuned, what wires you use, the condition of all of the above, and your tuning and all of that. So I decided, I'm gonna go with a round over on the bottom as well because you don't want the bottom head to be resonating a ton. That's not gonna help you get a crisp, tight, just tone. Um, can't muffle it. Then you'll muffle the whole drum. You don't want to do that. But anyways, so I cut the bottom edge, nice round over. Turned out even better than the top. And by golly, I lost almost all my snare beds. Well, you know what? I slapped together anyways because I still had a little bit there. No, that definitely made a profound difference in the ability to tune it right. So I had to put some snare beds in it. It's 12 o'clock at night. Got to get up early the next day. But I'm already this deep. I'm eager to try to pull this off and get it done before I go to bed. So by hand, I tried to cut some snare beds and slapped it all together, and that didn't work either. And by the way, also at this time, I decided to try the trick play with the die-cast tubes. Tried to get all that together. Apparently, um, my snare beds by hand were not deep enough. So had to call it a day. Next day, after I got home from church, I decided to do it right and use a router router table and route them. So I got all that done, cleaned it all up, lubed up the strainer. I got this thing just great shape now. By the way, when I rounded up the snare rounded up the shell. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you that. Another thing I did is I rounded up the shell with a threaded rod in the middle, and the ends that come out actually are hidden inside two opposing lugs. How cool is that, right? Um, when I did that, I I decided to use a brand new head on top, even though the first 3 days ago had a brand new head. I decided to use a different one because you're cutting a new edge and you're rounding it up. So I just didn't want any variable. I wanted to eliminate the problem child variables, right? So got my new snare beds cut today with the routing table. A little bit of patchwork with some filler dealing with the chipping and omissions, of the Lawan. I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about. So got everything sanded up, slapped back together, and this is what we get. I think this will do, but I still don't have the same performance of, and I don't know if I doubt I ever will because these are two different animals, shell type. That makes a huge difference. And the die-cast tubes and the roundovers. Well, really, what you're going for is the Gretsch approach with the thin shell and the die-cast tubes. You know, But this is not a thin shell, it's a thick shell. But it's not the thickest out there ever made, and this isn't, high quality maple or anything. But I'm trying as much as I can to duplicate that other snare drum to try to get the same results. So let's take a listen and see what we get. Okay, folks? Okay, that being said, here we go. I'll leave this headset on in case I feel that there's anything worthy to add. Boy, you tune up that snare and it starts to get slappy. All right, see what it sounds like. And by the way, this is EQ'd, not straight up natural or or you know straight. So 15 minutes. That's a long video. I hope this is a success. Yeah, I do see lights. The board was on.